Hey everybody, welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Wade Acuff, and I'm going to be your host for this challenge. It's going to be a spooky challenge, I hope. Now I know, it's early. The season's not quite here. Well, I'll say that usually I feel that way for, hey, things are a little too soon. Halloween, it can be all season. It's all seasons. My only issue is maybe I won't keep the energy up until the season, but we'll find out. But things have been coming early. But if you're trying to make Halloween content or something, you probably should be doing it now, if not sooner. But let's jump into it because we're going to make some movie title today, or at least a movie, kind of a horror movie title thing. Let me say hi to chat real quick. We are over on YouTube and Behance. What's up? Ready for fall? Yes. Cody, what's up? Clever. Oliver, how's it going? Sean, good to see you. Yeah, just so you know, we have done some challenges already. Go check those out if you want to see them. We've got one more coming up next week. But let's jump into today's challenge. And I do have a starter file for everybody. We have something here. I do have some outlines for you if you don't have these fonts. But I did leave this as live type. And we'll come back to this in a moment. But in case you're looking for type, you can do what I did and grab these from Adobe Fonts. If you go over to fonts.adobe.com, we have a lot of options. Now, if you're on the home page, there's a Browse All right here. You can check on that. You can click on that, see what it has. And you know what? I've already written Oh the Horrors because I'm like, maybe something, maybe a little bit of horror action going on. But I don't see anything in the tags. Now you could start searching, looking, but if you come down here to this sneaky little View 12 More button, there is a horror section. Look at that. We've got some horror fonts. Now, just, whatever your project is, just be aware that you don't have to use something that's a horror font. I go a little bit campy with these challenges, but just make sure it fits the vibe of whatever your project is. But just to let you know, there's like 4 pages of fonts that are horror themed already set up for you in the tags. And that's where I grabbed my fonts. Let's get back into it though. So we've got this from the shadows. It's just a real simple animated. I just wanted to have this pre-animated for us so we didn't have to worry about that part of it. But let's talk about the shadow or lighting effect. I'm just going to make a new comp. Click OK. Control Y for our solid. And then I'm going to make a shape layer. Make sure you're not selected on any layers. Grab a shape. And I'm just going to make a shape. I'm going to make one big circle. And you've probably seen this effect. This is not anything I created. But it's super fun. I thought it'd be nice to add it to some type. Over in our effects, which, okay. I don't know why it's locking up. Okay. Radial fast blur, double click to apply it. And make sure you set it to brightest for this effect. And then I'm just going to increase this so we can see it. But what really makes it fun is when you grab this center and start to move it around. Now it's kind of dull because it was just a gray shape. But we can make that a little bit more exciting by grabbing another effect, our fill, and double click fill. Jump on over here to a white. I'm just changing the fill color by double clicking on it. And now when we move this around, let's see, we select the radial center, radial fast blur center. It's more of a light. We got something more kind of a light, but we want to deal with some shadows today as well. But what's something cool, it's the same effect, but something cool you can do with this if you want to start adding on the same layer other little holes potentially. I don't know, it could be any shape. But it's really fun effect to play around with. You can grab this center again and it will move around as you're moving a light source potentially. But let's say we want this to be a shadow. Well, then we just change our fill to something dark. It doesn't have to be black. It's something dark. But then there's a problem of, well, not really a problem, but if you wanted the top shape color, your original fill color to come through, we have to add another effect, and that's a CC composite. Just lets you composite the original shape, color over the top. And now you can select this and move this around, and it potentially looks like there's a shadow. If we added a light source to this or something, and then pick whipped it to the position, it'd be kind of cool to throw around, you know, move around, animate this little center. But you could also animate the layer if you want, and it's going to do the same thing. Like it's changing the direction. So some options there. Let's jump back into the title part of this. And if that was too fast, don't worry, we're about to apply that again. So we've got from the shadows, that's our heart. We can change this too. If you guys have movie title options, you know, we can change it because it's all live type. I'm gonna get rid of the outlines because I don't need them. I don't need the confusion. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's do that same process again. I'm just gonna grab our CC fast radial fast blur, double click, select that to brightest, extend this quite a bit. We're gonna adjust all of this later, so don't worry. No worries, everybody just no worries. So let's fill so we can start to add our darker shadow. Fill. Ooh, I like the red. I like the red a little bit. I'm gonna make a copy of this. I'm gonna pause on the process. I'm gonna drag this down, rename this, you know, name your layers. Name your layers. Shad red, I don't know, something. I may even change the color. But I'm gonna reduce this quite a bit for now. And then I'm just gonna hide it. I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't wanna see it. We're done with it. I'm going back to our shadow, change that fill color back to something dark like that. But I do wanna bring the composite back on top. I wanna composite the original shape, so I'm gonna bring our CC composite on top of this. And I want that shadow color to be the same. So just to show you, if I go over to my character, I can just eyedrop. And I can change the color to whatever I want. You couldn't do that if you just left the fill on there. So just a note. When Swiss cheese attack, we're getting some titles in the chat, and I love it. Let's see. I know what you did last live stream. That's kind of ominous. All right, so we got something going on here. Let's go ahead, and we've got our shadows, but let's go ahead and add our light source. And I want from thee to be our light source. So I'm just gonna copy and paste, Control C, all of those effects over to from thee, and then change our fill, change our fill color to white, click OK. Now, if I wanted to use the composite for this, which I don't think I'm going to, just keep in mind, anytime you duplicate or copy, even though I copied it from another layer and it's applied to this layer, just make sure you're putting it back to the layer it is on. So it was on the shadows layer, now it's on the from the title layer. So now we have something that looks sort of like this, and we're starting to get there. But let's animate our shadow. Yeah, I'm using shadows as my main control, the center here. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like at the beginning. Let's put something. Now you see right here, the shadows of from thee or the light source is not being controlled by shadows. We can change that. We can make that real easy for us by going into the from the effect and then pick whipping the center of that radial fast blur to the center of our shadows. And now everything is locked on. When I grab this, now everything moves the same. So that's what we want. And I want something like this. And I think Keys said that thing effect. It's very similar. Great movie, by the way. Very, very classic horror. Let's see, from the, what am I doing here? Okay. So that's a little too loud for us at the beginning, but let's animate this. So we will start here, pull this up. I want this to be somewhere like in here maybe. And then around 6 seconds, we'll bring it to over here. I mean, all this is to taste. I'm going to add easies on that and easies on this by pressing F9. And I'm just going to go in here and just roll this out a little bit. Just smoothing that transition at this turn. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, not bad, not terrible. What I want to do though is let's make a couple of copies of the shadow layer. I'm going to make one copy and turn off all the effects except for the fill. You know what? I'm turning all. Yeah, I'll turn all the effects off. I could have done it here, but you can do it either way. Because I want this one to be active. I want to reveal this title coming out, and then I want to fade up to this. So let's try something like that. Let's try that. I'm gonna leave that on, but I'm gonna go ahead and I could do it with the amount, and that might look cool. Let's try it. Let's try it with the amount. Just setting keyframe. If we press U, it will reveal where that keyframe is. Maybe in here is where I want us to be the full amount. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and reduce this. Let's go to nothing and see what happens. It's not quick enough for me. And that's a little too fast. Let's see what that looks like on speed value graph. I might see if I can change this a little bit. Just pulling this amount out. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that works. That's fine. So we've got something going on here. I'm not mad at it. But I think we can make it a little bit better. I think we can do one better. I want to make a matte layer. A couple of things. I'm gonna duplicate our shadows layer again. I'm gonna drag it below, but I'm gonna turn off these top two for now, because what I want to do is make this from the layer. I'm gonna duplicate that one, and I want to make sure that all of our center effects. Yes, this is still connected. You can see in red. If I pop down, you can see the expression. I'm going to go ahead and copy this expression. Control C, just in case I need it later. I just wanted to make sure everything's still connected. But this one, I'm going to turn into something I can use as a matte. I could use it for alpha or whatever I wanted to do by just duplicating the fast blur until I like it. And I can turn that off. And then on the shadow layer, I could name this matte. But if I turn this matte on, now it's revealing our shadow. Let me make sure all of these are set correctly. It's not really gonna matter too much, but yeah, so that's revealing nicely. And I think I'm going to change the amount on this. So we basically made a matte so that reveals. And you can see how it's kind of revealing the whole thing. But we already have everything in place to make this work for us. So now it's just a matter of timing. Now it's just like, where do we want to reveal our full word? And I'm going to do that with by pressing T, you can bring up the opacity. What's up, Alex? How's it going? Guys, got to stick around. Alex is coming up with the real deal later on. All right, so I'm going to set my opacity here. And I want it to be fully formed, probably right in this area. So I'm going to set that keyframe, go back to the first keyframe of that opacity, turn everything down. Let's see what that transition looks like. Maybe not quite there. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to press B so we can start from there and just look at this transition. It's not bad. It'll do for now. So now we've got something going on. Now we can adjust our, go to our effects. We can adjust our amount up here. I'm going to go ahead and add a keyframe and pull this back so we can see the full thing. Let's see. I want this to be full on about right there. And I don't want any of this. I want this to do a slow burn as it comes up. And again, I'm going to adjust this slightly. Just flattening out that curve a little bit. And then the rest of it comes up, looks good. And then here I want it to go back down. So maybe I'll set a keyframe there and then go to the end and get rid of it. Something like that. See what that looks like. Not bad, not bad. I'm going to also reduce our shadow amount on the original one, which we already started. So we can just press U to get back to that. Look at our amount, go to the end of this, and I want to set this down slightly, somewhere like that. It looks like our shadow 3 needs to be adjusted. This is the matte version of this. And I think I'm just going to change the opacity on it to turn that layer off. Whoop. So we're starting to get there. Now, do you remember we made a weird little red layer that we kind of hid in the back? We're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that. But I want to bring up the shadow word a little bit so it's not as hard to see. I want to make it a little bit more legible. I'm going to turn back on our shadows too. That's as the top layer of this. And there, I'm going to go over to our text and animate and grab fill color RGB. And we have red. We're not going to use this red. I'm going to just go ahead and pick the background color and then set a keyframe there. But as we come to the end of this, probably somewhere in here, I do want to bring this not quite as white, but just like somewhere in here, just a little bit brighter than the background, just so it stands out. If we see what that looks like, it's just a slow transition of that color. That value changes up slightly. Now let's bring back that sneaky red layer. I'm going to collapse these down, go to our shad red and turn that on. And I'm going to bump it over and down just a little bit. And let's see what happens. Let's see. Let's turn the amount up. Let's see. There we go. Are we still connected? No, we're not. So you can see right here that these are going two different angles. So if I open this back, go to my effects, open up the center, press shift control equal, get our expressions. I can copy and paste that expression we copied earlier. And now all of it lines back up, the same lighting effects. But I don't want it to be that active that soon because, you know, that's not really what we're going for. Probably somewhere in here, we'll go ahead and set the opacity by hitting T to bring up opacity. I guess T means transparency. Just so you know. Set another keyframe, go back to the beginning, turn that all the way off. Let's see about the timing of this. Sweet. And we can bring this down a little bit. You could even add a glow to that if you wanted to. Let's see what this looks like. Because next we have to add a little bit of texture. We're going to put a little bit of texture on this. And you can do this in a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways you can add texture to this thing. So yeah, there's some tweaking that could be done, but you know, I'm not mad at it. But real quickly, let's do some texture here. Libraries, I have a from our good friends at stock.adobe.com/free. Don't forget the /free. This is in fact a free file. Just by having an account, you get free stuff. All right, so I'm going to drop this on top, and it is large. It is quite large. If I scale it down, you'll start to see it's pretty big. I don't want to scale it down too much, and we're gonna make this move around, jump around a little bit. But it's gonna be really simple. We're gonna use two attributes, two properties. Position, press P, Shift R to add R. So now we can just see our position and rotation. I'm gonna add a keyframe, and I'm gonna use page down to go 5 frames. I think I went 5 frames. And then I'm going to use this same texture to give us multiple textures. And first, you know what? Let me go back. I do want it to be this off skew slightly. I don't want it to be straight across. Now I'm going to move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll zoom in here a little bit on the timeline if we can get this. Whoop. And I'm going to add a new keyframe, but I'm going to rotate this all the way around. And then maybe move the position just so it's a different, something else to look at. And then I'll move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to rotate this the other way, but then grab another area that I like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the timeline, moving down another keyframe. We can flip this all the way around again. Go somewhere in here maybe. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just add a keyframe where you're located, because we're going to use a loop expression. You guys know, if you've watched any of the challenges so far, I do love a good loop expression. But very importantly, if we just move through this, it's kind of a mess. We got some twirling, got all this stuff. But if we hold our keyframes, if you just right click, toggle hold, it gives you something like this. Now it's just it's not even a second long, but if we add the loop expression to these by Shift Alt equal and just start typing loop, and there's no argument in this, nothing in the parentheses, and I'm just going to copy and paste this. Again, Shift Alt or Option equal, Control V, and now we should have a loop of texture. It's all from one texture, just big enough that I could use it multiple times. I mean, there's multiple ways you could do that. But now we want to add this, so maybe we'll use screen or something, and then bring the opacity down a little bit, just so it's there for us. Let's see what this looks like. Well, we got muffled screams in chat. Oh, it is spooky season. Spooky season after all. Okay, so what do we got? Yeah, that's what we got. You know, we got a little bit of time. What about adding some wiggle to this? What if we add some wiggle? I'm gonna collapse everything down. And you know what? Yeah, let's do it this way. Do I want to wiggle the texture or not? You won't even notice it, so sure. All right, I'm going to grab all of this and pre-compose it. Control or Command Shift C. Move all attributes. Let's see, is that going to work? No, because the background changes. Okay. Now we can grab all of it, and we can do it that way. I'm just doing this, you know, because we have a little time. Ooh, maybe not as much time as I thought. All right, so I'm going to go to our P for position, and then Control Shift Alt equal, and then I'm going to start typing wiggle, and it does need 2 arguments. And the first one, I believe, is the amount of times a second, and the second one is the how many pixels, and it should give us a little wiggle. Yeah, there's a little wiggle there. See on the playback. And if you don't want it going off the screen, you could just scale the whole thing up. We'll add a little bit more wiggle. It doesn't need this much, but I want you to see the wiggle. So I think maybe you can see it there. But yeah, that's just some I don't know. This was just some fun way to maybe do something with After Effects and make a fun movie title. And that is going to do it for us today. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. Be sure to stick around. What do we have? What's new? What's next? I think we have our good friend Alex coming up next. So be sure and check that out. And I hope you guys have a good one, and we will see you guys real soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.